So in the previous video we've added a form that will allow us to create a movie. So now that means we have to add a CSS to the form. You see, we don't have to waste time trying to remember what we did and what we have to do. So we know that now we just have to add CSS for the form. So let's go to the CSS file, and we can simply remove everything. So it became even uglier. At least it's on the same column. And to see what will happen when we type our CSS, I will put the two on the screen. We want to get rid of this menu simply by clicking Ctrl B. Yeah, this hides it. It's time to style. At first, the HTML. Yeah, so we want to use Flexbox. So we just have to indicate that we want to use Flex, but with the display Flex indication, in which direction we want the flex to be applied on the row. So we want to display everything in a row. So flex direction. I did the gesture of showing a column. So you guess it's a column, not a row that we want. We want to align items. This is, so now the main axis is vertical. So the align items will allow to center on the cross axis. So it will align on the horizontal axis. So we can align items, center, and you see that's how you align on the x axis, on the not x, on the cross axis. This is the main axis, so this is the cross axis. And now for the main axis we want to justify content. So justify content, and we want to justify to the center. This is for the HTML. Then for the H1, H2 and H3, I realize we don't have any title. So let's just add this so you could see how it would affect it. So we're on the body before the calendar. Let's just add an H1 and let's simply add week of movies. So it should appear right here, which it does. And what we want is for all the titles, so all the headers, I should say, the H1, H2 and H3 to be in uppercase. So it's a text transform of uppercase. There is uppercase, yeah, there is capitalized. We want uppercase. So that's how you change the case using CSS. Then the form, we want to style our form, all the forms actually. There will be just one, but they would all have a bigger font size, a font size of 1.2 rem, 1.2 rem. So you see it's a little bigger. And a rem refers to the root. M is allows to change the size of what is inside of the form so that it's 20% bigger than the font that you usually use by default of 16 pixels. We want also a margin. So the distance between the form and the rest of 40 pixels. I did this sorry, while preparing this video. So you see now there is this distance between the movie and the calendar. What else? We had labels inside the form label. We want every label to occupy 100% of the line on which it is. So this is very easy to do. You just have to display block. So it behaves like a div, for example. You see now every label is on its own line. What else do we want? We want a font weight of 800, so it becomes bigger. So you see, it makes it bold, basically. This is okay. This is all we had to do for the form, for the label. What else do we want to do? We want to play with this select inside the form. If there is a select, we want it to have a height of fit content. And a slightly bigger font size of 1.1 M, just like that. it's also possible to style the placeholder. So you have to use this double colon and before that we have to style the input of type text. Sorry, I was ahead of myself. So simply use these brackets, and I read it as a where. So when you have an input where the type is equal to text, this is what you want to change. You want it to have a width of 100%, just like that. You see, it grew. As a padding, we want just a slight padding of 0. No, it's not that small because it's m, 0.5 m. So this is the distance between the title of the text you're going to type and the limit of the input text itself. We want a different background color. We want the background color to be this one. I tried and tested it offline, so 538 FCD. It's a blue color. Yeah, but now it's not easy to read the text, so let's just add a color of white. So now when you type, the text is white. And also we want a bigger font size. So we want a font size of 1.1 em. So it's also possible to style the placeholder. So you see now it's gray, it's not easy to read it. So let's just add this colon placeholder selector that allows you to select the placeholders, and we want them to have a color of, we're gonna use RGBA because we are interested in the A, which is the alpha, so we can change the opacity. So we want also the color to be white, or when you're in RGB it's 255, 255, 255, and when we want it to be semi-transparent, let's go for 0.5. So you see now it's a little transparent and it's white. This is how you select and change the placeholders. And last but not least, the button, the submit button, or any button that would be on this form. So we want it to display block, so it uses all the space on this line. Where is it? Form button. We want it to have a width of 100%. Yeah, this is what was missing. Just like that. And we want it to look like, well, you see this flat design thing. So before this, we'll change the background color so it is the same blue color. And for the color, we want it to be white also. We want to have a font size. Did we use? No, yes, yeah. A font size of 1.1 em. And this is how you make it look flat. You see, a flat design is really a huge thing. It's been for 5 years now. So you just ask to remove the border, so 0 pixel. Also, you don't want any box shadow. So box shadow is set to none. We want no border radius. We already have none, but at least it's explicit. And we want more space between, you see this, select this drop down list on the button. So let's add a margin top of 10 pixel. We want to have more distance between the text and the buttons in which the text is. So we just have to add a padding of 10 pixel. And also you see when we move over the button, we'd like to see a cursor. So it's simple, we just have to add a cursor of pointer. So now you see when you're over the button, you can see this hand with this finger. So it's starting to look good. Don't pay attention to this, it's caused by one of my Chrome extension. And also what is nice with this centering is that if you switch to a mobile view, you see it would display properly on, or you have this margin that is not exactly the same, but we're going to leave it as it is because I'm really looking forward to retrieving the data that the user will have selected. So, or it's simply because I forgot style. Do we have a div with a class of center? Yeah, let's just add one, a div with a class of center, and let's put everything inside of this div. So h1, the div, the script. So this script should be at the bottom before the closing tag. So it's very important. So you are sure that when this script is loaded, it already has access to all the HTML. So it's extremely important to have this script before this body. Or you could also use the defer keyword, but let's go for this technique of putting the script before the body. Let's move everything else inside this div. So select everything from the form till this h1 and move it with the Alt up arrow. Yeah. So now that we have this div with the class of center, we can just add it here. Sorry, it was my bad. I forgot to add this custom class. As it's a custom class, you need to add the dot. So it's very important, else it won't work. So what do we want from this center? Oh yeah, I just added a text align of center. Just like that. And now we can pass this task to done, from to do to done, and we know that on the next video we'd have to create a new movie. So we need to handle the submission of this form.